Hello. I take it everyone in this room has heard of Marvel Comics in a way because of the movies they make. Am I right or am I right? Come on, I know you ladies have seen Chris Evans dress up as Captain America, and guys, we all know you gawk over Scarlett Johansson in her Black Widow suit. I'm not dumb. Well, I'm going to be taking you guys back in time today to learn about where and how Marvel Comics actually started. Now let's begin. Marvel Comics was always and still is at the top, and here's why. Marvel started right before the war begins, back in the 1940s. Jack Kirby, his hands was his greatest weapons, and Stan Lee, his mind and imagination source out of this world. Now let's travel back to 1939. Back in 1939, Marvel Comics was born. Marvel started around the time of when the war was going on. Marvel's very first comic was with Timely magazines, and it was named Marvel Number 1. It included the characters of Submariner and the Human Torch. The company was affiliations with Pulp magazine, but it soon fell off and started working with Time magazine as the years went by. At the time, Marvel wanted to work with everyone to get their name out. Marvel's biggest rival, though, was DC Comics. DC Comics was also affiliations with many other companies, such as Timely magazines. But we all know that their most commonly known characters were Superman, Batman, or Wonder Woman. DC and Marvel at one time actually did come to an agreement to having a crossover event between the heroes and going up against each other in battles between each of the characters. Also, during the times of the war, Marvel characters gave hope to the people because of what they were about. Marvel characters were so inspirational, and it helped people get through their days because of what was going on in the world at the time, hence the war. The comics was basically a TV in their hands at the time. For me, it is still the favorite things to this day that I actually do. Now let's get to the king of comics himself. Jack Kirby is his name. He literally goes by the king of comics, and he was born to illustrate comic characters. He started working for Marvel, who at the time was working with Timely magazines around the year of 1941. He ended up creating characters such as Captain America, who was a patriotic symbol for the United States. As he furthered into the years of his illustration, he actually hopped over to the company of DC Comics. Marvel was sad about it, but then soon they ended up getting him back. But while he was at DC, he never really made characters, but he revised most of the works of the characters who were being created. Soon after he got bored and went back to Marvel Comics, as years went by, he actually started to create the monsters of Marvel's comics, such as Goom, Spore, and Fing Fang Foom. Creative characters also were very commonly known back then because of the whole Dracula werewolves and such. But as time went on, Marvel and Jack Kirby did have creative differences with the works of Marvel, and the working with DC he ended up actually going back to for the second time. Doing his work through the 80s, Kirby ended up retiring and in the year of 1987, but before that, throughout the 80s, he was actually working on his own, with his own types of work. Yes, we all know Jack Kirby, the king of comics, but the man who made it all happen is Stan Lee. Stan Lee, who is still, as of today, the face of Marvel. Stan Lee started his comic career at the age of 16, and once he started working on the comic strips, he legally changed his name from Stanley Martin Lieber to Stan Lee. Lee and Kirby actually did have works together, and their first official breakthrough was in 1961. Their creation was, as what people know today, is the Fantastic Four, who was a group of astronauts getting superpowers from a cosmic storm. Stan Lee eventually did start working for the business of the film with the affiliations of Marvel. His first actual animated film was in 1999, but was soon sued for some unknown reasons. As the years went by, Stan Lee started to Marvel Cinematic Universe and made it more open to the world. He would actually cameo in all the Marvel movies as a random citizen or character, and would have a line or two. Even his small movie appearances would get the people excited. Now that you've gotten a piece of Marvel lodged in your head, you should feel more knowledgeable about the biggest comic book company in the world. Marvel was created at the hard times of the United States, was going through a lot of tough times, but the comics did get people through a lot of troubles and stuff to get their mind off of the war and the problems that were going on with the bad economy at the time. Jack Kirby being the king of comics is something to be really proud of, because you don't get that many artists nowadays, especially in today's world. Someone who is as talented as him and with the type of imagination that he has. And same goes for Stan Lee also, because his mind, without his imagination, Marvel Comics wouldn't be where they are to this day. Without either of their minds or love for writing comics, comic books wouldn't be as big as they are today also. In the words of Stan Lee, with great power comes with great responsibility. And what that means is that if you have a gift that no one else has, don't abuse it or take advantage of it. What you do is use it for the good of the people, because it's really good for the others. And without a gift that is very good, there's no point in using it. Just don't blatantly abuse it for the wrong reasons.